Is there anything I can't ask you? Anything that's going to be off limits?
I don't know what you're going to ask, so I'll take it as it comes. We'll roll with the punches.
So you're 28 years old.
Yeah.
20-0, successful both in the ring and out the ring. Do you feel like you've made it?
Definitely not.
Why? What is success?
That's the question. What is success? That's why I feel like I haven't made it, because if I put a cap on it, I'll be able to answer. But I'm forever learning, forever evolving. And I think in this present time, where I'm at this stage in my life, I would say if I wanted to cap it, I'd cap success at an age, and that's around 38, 40. So I'm far from it. I've still got another 10, 12 years left of experiencing the boxing life and everything I'm learning and everything that comes with it.
Do you ever feel like you're blagging it a bit?
Definitely not. Nah, straight up. I am who I am. But sometimes you've got to play the game. And everyone has to play the game.
What is the game?
The game of life.
What was life like before boxing?
Life before boxing was good. Great family, unbelievable family. Father was hardworking, mum was hardworking. Wanted the best. And I had great friends as well. But I don't know what it is. I think maybe like, influence of music. We like the films like Scarface, Paid in Full. I had ambition, like a hustler's ambition. And yeah, that was life before boxing, really. Wanting to get somewhere in life and do it the fast way.
How do you think boxing's changed you?
What it is with boxing, right, is you meet people a lot older than you. So when I first started, I was 18. So when I'm 18, I met people who are around 40, 50. So that's like my father's generation. So their generation above. Then you meet people who are like in their late 70s, 80s, who are then a third generation. So you meet people 2 generations wiser than you. So they give me a lot of wisdom. Then in the boxing gym, it's not just about learning to fight. It's like a social club, because you meet people from Iraq, Asia, Nigeria, Ghana, England, Ireland, traveling around the world. So you're meeting people from different backgrounds. So when you're stuck on your little estate, all you know is the person next door and across the road. But when you go to a boxing gym, you know the person from Finchley, Barnet, Golders Green, Hendon. Then you start traveling around the world.
It's like another family.
It's like another family.
You say you don't think you've made it yet.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the motivation?
The motivation?
What is it? Is it money? Is it material things?
It's always money. You've got to earn a living. Unfortunately, the way the world's set up, everyone has to. I have it in me sometimes to think, what am I doing for the world? But at the same time, the world is designed to go out and do good for yourself before you can do good for others. So it's a world that runs on finance, so I definitely have to be money motivated. But that's not my sole motivation, because I was doing this for years without earning a penny. So I just like the discipline, the dedication, and that's what I always express is life is how you interpret it. So for instance, Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali, Jack Johnson, they're like the flag bearers for the interpretation of boxing. But how I interpret boxing is more discipline, dedication, healthy living. I used to smoke before boxing, I used to drink. I cut all that stuff out. So I interpreted the healthy side of boxing and so on and so forth, the discipline. And that's what I get from the game right now. You
have a very close group of friends around you that have been with you for a long time. But with the fame and the money, the more money you earn, the more successful you become, surely there becomes more people that want to be your friend. Are you open to new friends, or is it kind of, nah, I'm done now? When I was like 21, we used to throw parties. We used to have an event, and I was everybody's friend, We were doing an event called Carpe Diem. It was like, listen, I'm an entertainer. I love partying. Still? Yeah, of course. I like to have fun as well. You got to live a little. But I realized that conversation doesn't breed success. You're in an era where there's so much information. So like, people are messaging you through your email, through your WhatsApp, through your iMessage, through your Facebook, through your Instagram, through your Twitter, through your Snapchat, and half of it is just general conversation. And I'm not trying to be in a general position. I want to be one of the best. And I had to cut out a lot of associates and knuckle down what's important. So
I see it as like a prison sentence, this boxing. Give me 10 years, I'm on a 10-year sentence, let me focus, let me be disciplined, and when I'm done and I come home, we'll have a welcome home party and say, we've got the old AJ back. But at the minute, I have to feed my hunger and starve any distractions.
By distractions, you mean personal life?
Personal life, and I just don't like general chit chat like, hey, how are you?
Why?
There's no benefit in it. Asking me how I am. Hey, how are you? By the way, I need this, I don't need that, this came up, this is what's happening. Give me something to go with. I'm not into general chit chat because, as I said, the era we're in now, business is done over WhatsApp. How much time can I spend glued to my phone trying to keep everyone happy? And I've got to look at number one and I'm thinking, am I keeping myself happy?
Have you found it hard to keep your feet on the ground?
Nah, like...
Little bit?
Nah.
Because the public might see, yeah, okay, you know, you train hard and we've seen you in your cams, but equally on social media we see you're in your private jets, you're going to the nice places and stuff.
Yeah. That's mad. Sometimes it's weird because how has it become the norm? It's mad, isn't it? It's like, how has it just become the norm? But as I always said,
private jets, the norm.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
Not where I'm coming from.
That's what I'm saying. It wasn't where we were coming from. Remember, I'm first generation in England. My parents came here, wasn't born here, and we are the first generation to be born here. They don't understand the system that England has to offer. So we've had to learn it and teach them to a certain degree because they come from a different background. So it isn't the norm to be flying on private jets. But
you know that though?
100%. It doesn't matter if you've got this amount of people who look at you or this amount of people who look at you. And that's where the saying, stay humble, came from. Isn't about sit in your corner and don't fly on a private jet, turn it down and ride the train. No. What it means to me is that treat the person who we determine as successful in whatever category you put them as the same person we determine as unsuccessful in whatever category we put them.
You also seem to be quite a private person.
You think so?
Yeah, we don't really see a lot of you. We don't see you like in clubs. We don't see you dating. We never see any of that. Why is that?
I think, you know, in a world where there is so much out there, sometimes it's good to keep some back.
How do you do that?
I don't really, like, my mum's home cooked food is better than going to some restaurant paying 100 quid for a plate of 2 asparagus and a little piece of fish. Do you know what I'm saying? I'd rather eat some home cooked food. So I don't really go out.
And the dating? Do you date?
Yeah, 100%. 100%, you know. And especially like when I go away, I like taking trips on holiday. And yeah, so in the UK, I see it like this. UK is a base for me to work. It's not a place for me to have, you know, tons of fun. And then when I travel the world, we party hard and we have a good time.
How important is people's perception of what they think of you? Well,
so this is where we revert back to, you got to play the game. Because even though being a role model is important, perception-wise, being a role model is being real. There's no role to play. So perception is based on who you really are. And people have to understand your views, but you have to play the game because being a role model is the perfect image, isn't it? It's like, I don't do X, I don't do B, I don't do C. But in reality, we may do a little bit of A, and sometimes we mess up and do a bit of B, but yet we're trying to perfect C. That's the reality of things. So perception is hard because if you give them the real, you're not a role model. But if you play the role of a role model, when you do make the real mistakes, people say, how did he mess up? So it's a tough job to play, isn't it, if you're going off perception.
what kind of dad are you like?
What
Are you
kind of
quite
dad?
strict?
Yeah. I'm a man of discipline. That's what I got from boxing. That's what I got from life. I make my bed in the morning. I know how to wash. And I know how to, you know, hold a household down. So yeah, I'm disciplined.
They're 3 very important things.
Yeah, you know, right? So I like the discipline factor for sure. That's just in our culture. And the reason why finance is important is so you can have the time to spend with your kids, because in our household, there was a lot of discipline within the 4 walls of our house. But where our parents worked so much, when we left the house, we was going to roam around on our own accord. Parents didn't really have time to take us to the park or to take us to football or to take us for meals on Saturday. So that's why I do believe you have to strive for financial freedom so you can have a bit more time to spend with your kids, because we had that structure in the house. In our house, yes mum, no mum, call you from downstairs. You don't be like, yeah, you make sure you go upstairs and you answer the question. So we had that respect, but I want to have a bit more time to spend with my kids outside the house as well. So we keep that balance, that family structure across the board.
You always look physically in good nick. There have been suggestions that maybe steroids have played a part. So let's change the direction a little bit and talk about your fight coming up and some other stuff that's surrounding the fight. You are looking in very good nick.
Thanks.
Looking a bit leaner than you were before. And with those things that happen, you know, you always look physically in good nick.
Yeah.
There have been suggestions that maybe steroids have played a part. Joseph Parker has certainly implied that, calling you the king of steroids. You called him the king of pies, he called you the king of steroids. Did that bother you when he said that?
No.
How can it not bother you?
Because I think
implying that you've cheated when if you haven't, that's got to annoy you.
I think when you're content with what you do and you know who you are and where you are, I think that it's hard to rattle someone that's content with the work they put in. Do you know what I mean? And I see it as maybe, let's say I look at it from the other perspective as a compliment, because I don't take steroids. So for him to imply I must be doing something right, you know? So it just shows that he couldn't live a week in my shoes. What I go through is not a game. It's tough, it's hard work, and I'm pushing even more. So yeah, I just see it as a compliment because I don't take steroids.
Have you ever been tempted?
No. Look at me already, I don't need a steroid in me.
I think people look at you and go, how does he look like that normally?
Genetics, my dad's big. If one day when I do a documentary on my family, you'll know my dad's a fighter from day one. So my dad's big. A lot of the cultural food, yams and solid foods like that, we grew up on a lot of heavy food. And before I started boxing, me and my cousin was lifting iron. We used to lift iron because I remember when I was going to jail, long story short, I was on remand and I got let on bail. And when I was in there, I see some little cocky kids and I thought, I'm gonna slap these kids up if I get sentenced. So I started lifting weights. And then my cousin, I just done bench press and bicep curls. And then he showed me about shoulder press and this, and I was so weak in different things. So, you know, I started doing a bit of weights and that. And yeah, it's just my physique. If you look at old pictures, I've always had like a ripped, you know what I mean? You know them tall, skinny kids that have the potential. But you have to dedicate yourself to the game, do you know what I mean? So I dedicated myself to the game. As I said, I bought this little 20-pound or 50-pound bench from Argos. I would have it in my little living room, and on the weekends we would just be banging iron and that. We've been doing it from back in the day.
Can you switch off?
Nah.
In your downtime, can you actually just go, do you know what?
Nah.
This is my time, or are you constantly, if you've got a fight, you're just thinking?
Yeah, because rest is part of training, and I've tried to do it before. Don't get me wrong. I tried to like dabble a bit. Do you know what I mean? And think, yeah, like I'll have a little late night, or I'll go out with the boys, and it just throws me off on Monday morning.
So you try that?
I've tried it, and it just don't work. So, you know, some people don't train on regiment. I train on regiment. So anything outside of my regiment has no benefit to where I'm trying to get to. So I keep it structured, and then when I'm outside of training, I have my fun. You know, I still got my commercial regiment and my lifestyle, but it's not as strict. It's not as strict as a boxing.
Thinking of a master plan. This ain't nothing but sweat inside my hands. So I dig into my pocket, all my money spent. So I get deeper, still coming up for Lent. So I start my mission, leave my residence. Thinking how could I get some dead presidents? I need money. I used to be a stick-up kid, so I think of all the devious things I did. Cause I don't like to dream about getting paid. So I dig into the books of the rhymes that I made. So now's a test to see if I got pulled. Hit the studio, cause I'm paid in full.
So let's talk about your camp now. How is it going? What have you done differently?
What have I done differently? So this is the first time I think me and Rob and everyone, we've had a better relationship.
In what way?
Rob's like my sensei, like a father figure. And as I said, growing up, I didn't chat back to my dad. Do you know what I mean? So if Rob says, do X, I'm going to do X. But as I studied the game more, and I know about boxing, I really look into history, I do believe if you know where you've been or you know who have been there before you, you know where you're going. So I speak to him, I just ask questions like, why do you want me to do this? And why are we doing that? And so on and so forth. And we've come to understand that there are solutions and methods to the madness. So that's good as well. So
has it always been a good relationship with Rob, or has it evolved over the years, kind of
always been
changed?
good, but it's getting better over the years.
In terms of training, what have you been doing differently?
I train in the morning. I wake up and the first ounce of energy I have, I give to boxing, you know? So that's a brilliant thing. I used to do other stuff, which is always taxing, but halfway through the session, I'll always be telling my coach, like, you know, I've got boxing later, like, when are we gonna stop? So, nah, it's good for you, it's good for you. So I'd always go into boxing tired, which was tough. But now I'm giving my first ounce of energy I have in the morning to boxing. I average about 4.5 hours in the gym. So for instance, if I start at 6, I won't be leaving till 10:30 at night. I'm eating at 11:30, checking everything I've got to check, 12:30, potentially sleeping at 1:30. You know them nights you can't sleep.
How much sleep are you getting?
This is the issue.
Are you sleeping?
I won't really sleeping much, you know? So I'm learning about that, how you put on weight because you're eating later, so on and so forth. So I changed my sleeping pattern.
Do you still get nervous?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah. But you have to control your nerves.
How do you control them?
There's no way out. I've had, 12 weeks knowing that I'm going to fight. 6 weeks ago, if I got that nervous, I would have said, nah, listen, Rob, man to man, I can't do this.
Do you ever have a moment, like, if you ever talk to Rob and say, I can't do it? Have
No,
you ever had that of just going,
I asked my
I've got this
PR guy.
massive fight, but I just don't think I can do it?
Nah. Because I feel I'm getting better. So I'm enjoying that process. But I asked my PR guy, do you ever plan if I lose? Everyone's always like, all right, so we've got this interview after. On the Monday, we've got to do this bit with this. Then we've got the GQ Awards on Tuesday. I'm thinking, so what happens if I've got a bust eye, teeth missing?
That's not going to look good for the GQ Awards,
This is what I'm saying. So in boxing, you don't plan losing. You know how it goes. In every other sport, you lose, you bounce back.
Is that what scares you?
Yeah, because it's the sport we're in, right? It's like, Federer's still known as a great, but we don't know the 10 people who have beaten before. Boxing, that loss will stay on your record for eternity. In 1,000 years, when people look at me, potentially, they'll say, let's say he was 20 and 1. So with boxing, that's what you're nervous about is
How would you handle
nobody's
defeat?
wants to go.
How would you handle it, do you think?
How would I handle it?
Yeah.
It's real. A role model, you don't lose. That's an action figure. And that's what I say, like, you have to know where you're going. When I look at heavyweight boxing, Klitschko wanted to be 3-time heavyweight champion of the world because he was once heavyweight champion, what I am, lost. Came back and regained the championship, so he was now 2-time heavyweight champion of the world. Then he tried for the 3rd time. So losing doesn't define you. How you move forward defines you. So a loss doesn't define me as a person, and if it did, it will show where people's mindset is because they discredit everything you've done up until that point.
Obviously, you've got Joseph Parker next, and you've
Yeah.
got to get through him
100.
to then potentially meet Deontay Wilder
Yeah.
to become undisputed heavyweight champion of the world.
Undisputed.
Yeah. Obviously, a lot of people are talking about the Wilder fight now, and you've still got to get through Joseph Parker.
Correct, yeah.
Is that kind of hard for you to still keep both eyes on the fight that's in hand?
No. Let's focus on Joseph
Yeah.
Parker. I'm fully focused on Parker. Yeah, fully.
Do you ever get bored of people talking about Wilder, Tyson Fury? Do you ever get bored of saying the same thing?
Like Tyson Fury is boring because like when he's ready to fight, I'll be ready to fight. At the minute he's not, so you can't ask me when am I going to fight Tyson. You have to ask Tyson when you're ready to start competing again. So that's one situation. With the Wilder situation, it's the same thing. Like he only mentioned my name after I fought Takam. So he said he's been calling me out, but it wasn't a situation. So he was training for Stavern and didn't mention my name until after his fight. So I was in training for Takam. So we were both defending our titles, so why would we be focusing on each other? So after his fight, when he completed, he said, I've been calling Joshua out. And I was like, Rob, has Wilder been calling me out? No. Eddie, has Wilder been in contact? Because he's saying no. So where's this come from? So I was like, okay, cool. So we reached out and we've been trying to negotiate. And at the minute, it's at a position where it went from 50-50, they wanted, to 40-60. But realistically, I look at it like this. No one wants to hear about splits. No one wants to hear about who walks first and who walks second. No one wants to care about who's got the biggest cojones. No one cares about what colour shorts we're wearing. They want to see a fight. And that's what we're working towards, because it's not a matter of if we fight. It's just a matter of when.
Are you seeing Joseph Parker as a bit of a easy option? Are you overlooking that?
The belts don't, like, if Parker beat me, God willing he doesn't, does that mean I can't fight for a championship belt again against Wilder and it's still not a big fight? Because that's what I say, if you credit me if I lost to Parker on that loss alone, people aren't serious about boxing. Because you're trying to say that I don't deserve to fight for the championship again. But if I lost to Parker, dust myself off and go again, and I'm chasing Wilder because I want to be a heavyweight champion again. So yeah, that fight happens regardless. The fighters should be bigger than the belts.
So how long have you got left in boxing, do you think?
10 years, I say I'm 28. And I look at Klitschko, he retired at 40. Mayweather is 40, 41, and people still say he can fight on another day. So who's to say nowadays I can't fight until 38? You know, history shows that athletes are going on a lot longer, providing they take care of their body. I don't want to have to need boxing. I want to do it because I love boxing. You know, I don't want to do it for the fame, because I haven't paid any bills. I just want to do it because I enjoy it, and I still want to compete at a high level, just for the love of it.
It has been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. Sorry I've been rabbiting on.
It's the idea. Best of luck.
Thank you.